Hello and welcome to Morning Brew on Labour Social. It is Wednesday, the 3rd of April 2024. Welcome to the show, and everyone in the chat. Hello, please feel free to subscribe to the channel and then you can join the chat. You've got to wait 30 seconds though, and you will. Right, so today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Tory party because, that's what we talk about a lot on this channel, and I'm thinking we're not going to be talking about it much next year when hopefully it no longer exists. That's the plan. But let's face facts. There was an 80% increase in the number of sewage spillages into rivers, lakes, and on beaches in this country. An 80% increase from 2022, when they were shockingly high, to 2023, when they were just off the chart. Sewage was dumped into rivers, lakes, and on beaches designated safe to bathe in 86 times. Not a year, not a month, not a week, a day. A day. On average, in 2023, we are swimming in gigaliters of shockingly sadistic sewage that the Tories have allowed these water companies to put into our water streams. Thames Water, who made world headlines, headlines around the world this Saturday with the boat race, the old Oxford-Cambridge boat race, in which the losers complained about having tummy bugs and basically all the poo in the water. I was said on a live interview that has gone around the world and everyone's seen it. And now whenever someone thinks of Britain and our rivers and our streams and our beaches, they're going to be thinking of shit. Because the Tories have been in power for the last 14 years. The Tories privatised the water companies back in 1990, I think, and these companies immediately set about attracting foreign investors. It's funny, isn't it? How all these racist bigots, gam-gams, GB News watchers, GBBs, they like to go on about foreigners coming here, being carers, being doctors, being pharmacists, doing these jobs, keeping British people alive. They hate that. Makes them wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, that does. Foreigners coming here, helping out. But you know what they do like? Foreigners making money, making dividends, making shared dividends in their portfolio out of our failing companies. Or newspapers. We don't mind foreign people owning our newspapers, making loads of money out of them, like Rupert Murdoch. That's fine. Yeah, that's tickety boom. Or Lord Rothermere, who doesn't live here, or who's that other creep? There's quite a few of them who have non-dom status at the moment, which the Tories have said, we're going to get rid of that. I don't know. They've thought of 1,000 loopholes to put in there so you could go for the rest of your life claiming non-dom status. It's just something for them to say, we said we'll do this and we've done it. It's not actually going to raise any extra money because they've allowed all these loopholes to exist. A little bit of a tangent here, but what Labour need to do, don't make any more. They don't need to make any more taxes. They don't need to raise taxes. They just need to close the loopholes. It's very simple. Make tax fair again so that the rich people have to pay tax. Maybe they could then sing songs about it, like Taxman by the Beatles, complaining about the fact that they have to pay so much tax. How about that? How about a song by, Adele or Taylor Swift, complaining about how much tax they have to pay? I would welcome that. I would actually welcome that. The tax, not so much the songs. But not entirely unpartial to a bit of Adele or a bit of Taylor, but I'm quite enjoying my Swift tea at the moment. But yeah, we don't mind them owning newspapers. We don't mind them owning our state infrastructure. We don't mind them owning our trains and using the money, not just to, supplement their shareholders with some juicy dividends, which you pay for out of your pocket. When you pay for your electric and it's owned by EDF, which is French, you pay money to France. That money goes to French people with shares. It might also go to people in Qatar who have shares, and it might go to Americans who have shares in the company, because you can buy shares from anywhere. It doesn't matter. It's not a national thing. So basically, your misery Your misery. The fact that a train journey to Liverpool is now, from Durham, is now £106. £106 per person to go to Liverpool. We can drive there in our electric car for, we worked this out, £6.47 there and back, with 5 of us in the car. Yeah, so that's nice. Anyway, so that's helping subsidise not just the shareholders, but also that's also subsidising the passengers in Germany, in France, in the Netherlands, who are benefiting from the fact that their state-owned rail companies have stakes in our privatised rail companies and make money out of our misery. But the big one is the water companies. So the water companies set about in 1990 to start owing money. They start borrowing money, racking up billions, millions, and then billions in debt. So Thames Water, 18 billion is the figure I've got here. I want to check that. 18 billion pounds. That is 18 000 000 000 000. That is more money than most people would make in 1,000 lifetimes. That is just an obscene amount of money that they've borrowed because they're a state monopoly. Sorry, not a privatised monopoly. I was going to say a formerly state-owned, now privatised monopoly. They've got no competition. You want your water off someone else. You want your sewage treated by someone else. You can't have it. If you live in the Thames area, your Thames Water. Up here, we're in Northumbria Water. In Liverpool, it's United Utilities. You don't get any choice in this matter. And these shareholders in other countries are making an absolute whopping fortune out of it. And the Tory voters, the Reform voters, the UKIP voters, the Brexit voters are like, yeah, this is great. Oh, I like this setup. So we complain about people coming here to do good from other countries, but they can do bad from other countries. Like, don't come here. As long as they don't come here, then that's fine. Yeah, because that is the cognitive dissonance at the heart of the Tory Sewage Party and all of their acolytes. The 20% of people are still going to vote for them? They're like, yeah, do you know what I love? Shit in the rivers. That's great, that shows those Johnny foreigners what for, eh? What? And this is the world in which we're now living in. This is the country we're now living in. Oh my God. Thank you very much. Blumduff, thank you so much. £50 super chat. I wasn't expecting that. Thank you. Oh wow. I have of late, wherefore I know not lost all my mirth. I have of late, wherefore I know not lost all my mirth. Thank you very much, Plumduff. Is that from Shakespeare? Lay on, Plumduff. Thank you. Awesome. You're a legend. And Nick and Diff is saying that you're a star. You are an absolute star. You are wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I wish I had a longer sort of super chat animation that came up for 20 minutes, the last 20 minutes of the show. I'm just going to read some of the messages that have come in as well. Green shit on, says Jeannie Bottle. Yeah, so this is the environment being destroyed by the Tories, because the Tories don't know how to create anything, and the Republicans don't either. Think about this. Think about like how Trump wants to get rid of the Affirmative Care Act, in America, the Obamacare. He wants to get rid of it. He had no idea what to replace it with. No idea. They wanted to get rid of Roe versus Wade in America, and they did. No idea what to replace it with. Now you have a patchwork of different laws in different states, some incredibly draconian, like the new law that they've just passed in the state of Florida, in which there is a 6-week abortion ban. Now, I don't know how you're up on your biology, human biology, but it's very unlikely, incredibly unlikely, for you to realize you are pregnant and that you need an abortion and be able to get an abortion within 6 weeks of conception. And don't forget as well, I think, and someone could correct me on this in the chat if they want to, I think they date the date of conception to the beginning of your menstrual cycle. So if you got pregnant on, say, the 20th day after your period, then you're already almost too late, because you've got to find out that you're pregnant. So unless you're taking pregnancy tests every day, you're not going to know until you miss a period. And then, you miss your period, and then you're like, oh shit, I go to the doctor. Sorry, it's been 5 weeks already and we can't book you in. next week. So yeah, you're gonna have to break the law. And now it looks like nowhere in the southeast of America you're allowed to have an abortion, which could be something that Biden and his team, I think they're using it as it is, but there's something that they should definitely use to try and get back into the White House and to take over the House of Representatives and the Senate in these upcoming elections in November. But the looking at the Senate, the seats that are available, it doesn't look good for the Democrats. It doesn't look like they're going to win them, so they're probably going to lose control in the Senate, whatever happens. They might wrestle back control of the House of Representatives, but it's really that the president's presidential election, that is really terrifying, because if Trump gets in, he said exactly what he said. He's going to do exactly what he said he's going to do. And I'm sick and tired of people who, normally on the left going, oh, it's just hyperbole. No, it's not. Was January the 6th hyperbole? No, he sent an armed mob into the Capitol building to kill Nancy Pelosi and Mike Pence, his own vice president, to kill him. And he said he's going to do worse in his second term. There's a thing called Project 2025. The Heritage Foundation in America, which I think should be designated as a terrorist group, along with these groups, these charities in Tufton Street, they should be down as terrorist groups. Terrorist groups, because that's what they are. They terrorize people, they kill people. 250 people die now in the UK every week waiting for to be seen in A&E. 250 people a week. If that was a foreign invading army killing 250 of us each week, I think there would be words to be said about that. But as the Tories can't create anything, they couldn't create the NHS, they can only destroy it. They couldn't create unions, they could only destroy them. They couldn't create the EU, they could only destroy it. And that's what they're doing. They're just trying to destroy everything that is good or that works, to make life as crappy as possible for the rest of us, because it's not enough for these little sadists like Truss and Rishi Sunak and Trump and all these millionaires who just want to make, everyone's life a misery. It's not enough for them to be rich. You have to be poor. And on top of that, you have to be poor and miserable. It's the only thing that makes them happy. There's an episode of Black Mirror which has a doctor in who has this chip in his head or something, and he gets sexual pleasure from inflicting pain on people. Yeah. That's Tories. There's the Tories right there. They get sick, sadistic, sexual pleasure from inflicting pain on the rest of us. Misery. Compounding the misery by being in charge. And I this is why I go toe-to-toe with anyone who says, oh, well, Labour are just as bad, Labour the same. No. This is a fundamental difference. We're not talking about policy here, per se. We're talking about the actual mentality of Tories, is that they don't want to just drive a sports car. They want to pull up at the side of the road and scrape a knife down the side of your Polo. Because, that's just what they're like. They're sadists. They're psychopaths. They're sociopaths. They're not nice people. Anyway. I'm reminded of the whining Bernie bros who helped get the Orange Cheeto elected in 2016. Yeah, Colin Baker. I fell out with some of my friends. I think I fell out with more friends. I fell out with a lot of friends in 2016, but I fell out with more friends who were left-wing Americans who were never Hillary's. And I'm like, you're going to let Trump in? Yeah, better Trump than Hillary. I'm like, no. Just no. I'm sorry. But anyone who can say with a straight face that, better Rishi Sunak gets in than Starmer, I'm like, what's he done? What has he done? Well, he voted with the Tories to enact Article 50, which he knew would make, he put a 3-line whip in to make people vote for Article 50, which he knew that would make the poorest people in this country poorer. And he knew it would drive up poverty rates. He knew it would make at least 14.4 million people in this country live in poverty. He knew that it would mean 1 in 4 children in this country living in poverty as a result of that decision to support the Tories, who at the time had enough votes, did not need Labour's support. A 3-line whip. That's what he put in as leader. Oh, hang on. No, that wasn't him. Was it? That wasn't Starmer. That was the previous guy. Oh, okay. Anyway. No way Trump was better than Clinton. Indeed. We'll still be waiting in November. Indeed. Yeah. Cruella Braverman publicly admitted what you're saying, Graham, in her commitment be the first plane to Rwanda taken off. Yeah, it's her dream. It's her fantasy. It's probably her sexual fantasy. Tufton is a foreign army. Money comes from all over the world. Yes, Ernie, which is why Tufton Street needs to be designated as a terrorist organisation. It's terrorising us, the British people. They're trying to get rid of the NHS and doing a very good job of it. They're making people turn against the NHS because they're waiting a month to see the GP. They're waiting in A&E on trolleys in what are they called? Ambulances. They're waiting, to be seen. And there isn't enough staff. There isn't enough resources. There's not enough money being put in. And these lying Tory scumbags going, oh, yeah, well, it's a record investment, record money going into the NHS. It's bullshit. Because of inflation, it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit. Because it's less in real terms than it was. Wages have gone up. The cost of equipment has gone up. The cost of shipping stuff has gone up. The cost of medicine's gone up. Why has the cost of medicine gone up, Graham? Well, maybe it's because we don't have the old free trade deal that we had with the EU when we were part of the single market. We've got a new free trade deal now, which features things called non-tariff barriers to trade. Non-tariff barriers. So, you don't actually have to pay an extra 20% in tax. No, but you do have to pay for a customs agent. You do have to pay for filing fees. You do have to pay hundreds of pounds of every consignment. I was talking to a friend of mine whose job it is as a courier driver to send stuff back from, there's a company in the UK, there's a transport company, they bring passengers into the UK every day, and they have things they use. They have things that they use on these things that they bring these people in, like trays, tables, plates, cutlery, all that kind of stuff. And they don't want to have to use part of the vehicle that they bring people in with to take it back to the mainland, I'm trying to be as vague as possible. I'm not doing a very good job of Europe, right? So my friend who's a courier, one of his jobs is taking used dirty plates and cutlery back to Paris, right? And since Brexit, they now want the company to buy back its own plates, dirty plates, so they can wash them and put them back on the vehicle to get them back into the... Because then it will make it easier for the customs. They've got to purchase their own every time they use. These are reusable plates, the porcelain plates, plastic trays, every time. We had to sell it back to ourselves. We had to pay money on the import and the duty and to get the people... Non-tariff barriers, sorry, not the duty. Just for the customs agents. A lot of our medicine is made in Europe and made in continental Europe, in the mainland, let's call it. And now that stuff isn't coming through as easy as it used to. We've pulled out of the European Atomic Agency, which allowed us to get radionuclides? That's probably the wrong word for it. Radioactive material that allows us to do things like, for medicine, X-rays, and for radioactive tracers that you put into your body. Very short half-life. It needs to be got to places very quickly, and that's being held up now as well. So it's not just the overwhelming, COVID wave. This is Brexit. Every other country in the world had to deal with COVID. Every country had to deal with COVID. But very few dealt with them as badly as we did. Maybe us, Brazil, and the US. 3 countries that at the time were run by deeply flawed populist leaders who were fucking psychopaths. Ian McKenna, thank you very much for the £5 super chat there, mate. Should we stop selling arms to Israel? Yes. Just a little good morning question. Absolutely. I mean, they're using them to kill our own civilians. 3 British people have been killed. I'm sorry. No, just end it. Just stop giving. I mean, why are we giving? We're giving like aid to the people in Gaza. We're trying to send aid, but at the same time, we're giving weapons to Israel. Who everyone agrees has gone too far. I mean, even the Americans agree they've gone too far. There were many, many Israelis who are out protesting this weekend in in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, I think, and they were protesting against Netanyahu, protesting against this war. So I mean, no, just don't give them any more weapons. They don't need them. Tell you what, those weapons you got earmarked for Israel, right? How about you give them to Ukraine? How about that? Eh? How about we give them to Ukraine? George George there. Hey people, do you know how expensive health insurance is in the US? Don't take my word for it. Look it up for yourself. Thank you very much for the super chat there, George George. It's one of our members. Thank you. Yeah, it is just another sort of notch on the belt of the Tory right wing press, is this idea that they've tried to make it like privatisation is a good thing for the NHS. They tried to hoodwink people in to it being. I say press, actually. This is more the government policy where they can say, right, we can give you a diagnosis for ADHD. It'll take you 3 years. Or we can go through a private company that you don't have to pay for because it's paid for by the NHS, and that'll take 3 months or 6 months and counting. You're like, oh, well, I'll take the private option because obviously I don't want to wait that long for a diagnosis. That seems a bit ridiculous when it's just like a questionnaire and an interview, and they're like, yeah, you definitely got ADHD, mate. Jesus Christ, got written all over your face. The Tories have done a very good job of putting that idea in people's heads, the link between privatisation and getting a better service. Oh, so it's privatised. I can get the operation straight away. So if it's privatised, if I go down the private route, right, I can get checked for cancer straight away. I don't have to wait 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. So they're giving people these positive vibes about undeserved positive vibes about privatisation. It's the same with private schools. They make state schools seem so awful. And then you get the people who say, well, I send little Tarquin and Guinevere off to private school, but it's because they have mental health problems. They have learning difficulties. They need assisted learning. And it's the only way to get it because you can't get that kind of thing in the state system. And I'm like, the people who aren't rich, they still can't get it in the state system. You can. That's great. You've opted out. You can afford that. That's wonderful. And I'm happy that your children are getting the support that they need and that they deserve. But the fact that you do that at the price of everybody else getting that support for their children is a bit sickening. And it's something that I just, it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, to say the least. You know how I feel about private schools. If we talk about previous Labour leader and how useless he was, but arrogant at the same time. He went to a private prep school, and all of the people surrounding him were privately educated. Like literally the people who wrote the manifesto, the head of the NEC, the founders of Momentum, everyone, every single, I think to a man and woman, Jenny Formby, she went to private school. They were Seamus Mill, private school, and Andrew Fisher, private school. I mean, just like everyone. Just like, Can someone who's not posh possibly have an opinion here? No, go away. We don't speak to you, Tom Watson. Bugger off. Anyway, but we're going to just jump into the newspapers for a moment. We'll try and do this as quickly and as painlessly as possible, like ripping off a plaster. We've got killed trying to feed starving kids. That's the cover of the Mirror. This is the story that's gone absolutely around the world because there's been an Australian, three Brits, a Pole, this merciless drone strike, just horrific, just absolutely horrific. People trying to feed starving children, and this is what's happened to them. Then we've got the story in the Mail here. 3 UK forces veterans killed by Israeli strike. Sunak appalled as Britons die in drone attack on aid convoy. And then we've got Sarah Vile in the Daily Hate saying the women of Britain are behind you. JK, they're talking about the women of Britain. So if you're not a transphobe, if you're not a bigot, and you're a woman, she's saying that you hate trans people here. This is what Sarah Vile is saying. She's saying that everyone supports this when they don't. The reality is, and the facts are, that most people support the right of trans people to exist. There are just a few nutters on the peripheries, like J.K. Rowling, who's quite frankly lost her freaking mind. Don't know why. It must be the money. Money doesn't make you a good person, I'll tell you that for nothing. Outcry at aid worker deaths is on the front cover of the Times. PM demands answers after Israeli airstrike kills Britons. It's on the front cover of the Daily Telegraph. 3 Britons killed on Gaza Mercy mission. The horrific pictures from inside the vehicle. Charities hold Gaza aid after drone attacks. So this is going to kill more people. It's going to kill more people because the aid's not going to get through, because people are going to be like, well, I don't want to be an aid worker if I might die. The Daily Star going with something, I don't know what. The UK demands answers after the Israeli strike kills 7 aid workers. And I'm a bit of an idiot. Clumsy husband blows £1,000 battling himself to buy an auction painting. That's a fascinating Metro thing. The Metro has really gone down, hasn't it? Was it bought by the Mail Group or something? Tesla and BYD's falling car sales stroke skepticism over speed of electric shift. So BYD is the biggest electric car manufacturer in China. In fact, it's currently the biggest in the world. It just overtook Tesla. Tesla stock has plummeted because Elon Musk is mad. Well, no, there's a few reasons here, right? So sales of electric cars have been a little bit sluggish as a result of just the global economic situation, the fact they're so expensive, the infrastructure's not quite there yet, and countless memes from your racist uncle going on about how they go into, they cost loads of money and they go on fire and they run out of energy and then you die, because if you're in a snowstorm in a petrol car with no petrol in it, you can make a fire in the car and stay warm. I don't know. Whereas if you're in an electric car, which doesn't need an engine running to just need some juice in the batteries to keep warm in the car. It doesn't actually use the battery to make it move unless it's moving, unlike an internal combustion engine. But yeah, all those memes probably add up, and people are like, oh, maybe I should think twice before buying an electric car. Like, if you can afford it, top tip, get one. My partner had a salary sacrifice scheme at work, and we worked it out, and it would actually work out cheaper to do that and get a new car than to keep the one that we had and fill it with fuel. Because fuel is dirty and disgusting and it's destroying the planet and it's awful. But yeah, so you've got that, but also you've got Musk, who has been going around making a lot of enemies over the last 2 years. People who generally might have a bit of money, but he's not interested in that. He just wants to sell his Cybertruck to rednecks so they can be the prettiest Miss Pretty at the ball. And then, yeah, we've also got the fact that the UK government has backpedaled on its pledge to make all new car sales electric by 2030, and they've backpedaled it, and it's now 2035. So these companies have wound down a little bit on the old production of the electric cars because they don't want to make cars that don't actually get sold, or you have to sell them a year later and then it's worth less than it was if you roll it out of the showroom. But yeah, they weigh more. They don't weigh more than a juggernaut, like an 18-wheeler, a lorry, or a bus, or a minibus. But, you know, they weigh more than actually, they don't weigh more than an SUV if you've got a small electric car. But, you know, they weigh more, and that does more damage. It doesn't, I mean, compared with the amount of damage that trucks do to roads, it's nothing. If you're bothered about potholes in roads, right, here's a couple of things. Right, first of all, you need more local railway stuff, so you don't have to have as many buses. That would be good, because then the buses won't be just doing so much damage to the roads. Lorries should be banned from suburban streets. That's it. End of. You could take your lorry along a motorway to the depot, and that's it. And then it can be put in vans, all right, or taken directly to the supermarket on the A roads. But suburban streets, no 18-wheelers at all, because they are destroying the roads. And also, the Tories have cut back on the money given to councils to pay for things like filling potholes. That's why they're redirecting some of the money from the failed HS2 project that the government blew billions of pounds of our money on for nothing, a railway from nowhere to nowhere. That's all that's going to be left of it, this rump of the project. They're going to take money off that to fix the potholes in the north. Sorry, not the north. North London. Yeah, levelling up. Fix the potholes on the driveway into my country manor, old chap. Thank you. Tip, top, top. Johnny, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Why are so many Corbynites, such total ducks, closest word it will get me to. It's cult. It's an absolute cult. As I say, they're very, very similar in the way that they express themselves as Trump voters. They think that I lived with a lot of Americans when I was living in Panama, and quite a few of them were true believers in Trump even back in 2016. They thought that he was the second coming. They honestly thought he was the Messiah. And one of the things that's interesting, I mean, I want to do a whole video about this, is people who are in love with Trump or in love with the previous leader of Labour, they can't understand the concept of you not being in love with Hillary Clinton or with Biden or with Starmer. So if you say, I'm going to vote Labour, they go, oh my God, so you love Starmer, do you? You think about him all the time. You go on about him years later. No, Starmer is a useful tool to us becoming, a state where the Tories aren't in charge anymore. But I say a useful tool. He's literally the escape vehicle at the moment. He is the only way off this spaceship that we have found ourselves on that has got an alien running around killing everyone, and there's one escape pod, and it doesn't have an alien in, unlike in the movie. Spoilers, but 45-year-old spoilers. People going in, going, oh well, is this the right escape pod? Is this the right colour? Is this? I don't care. I honestly don't care. And as soon as Starmer fails to win elections, I will drop him like a hot stone. I don't know him. I don't love him. But people love Corbyn. People love Trump. Like they love them. Like they love them more than they love their own children. And because they do that, they project onto you when you say, well, I'm going to be voting Labour this time. Oh, so you must love. Oh, so you must love Biden. You must love Biden and have little pictures of Biden everywhere. And what? Hey, no, I just don't want your guy because he's horrible. Because he's a psychopath. I'm talking about Trump here. It's just, there is. When I was younger, and we're a little bit over time, so I won't go on about this too much. When I was young, I was quite anti-religious, and I'm less so now. I had some Jehovah's Witnesses come to the door the other day, had a lovely chat with them for half an hour, told them to keep up the good work. Don't believe a word that they believe, but there's a lot of lonely people around here, and I thought it was nice for them to be knocking on doors and saying hello and having a chat and having some human connection. Fine, you want to do that? I can't. I don't have the time. I'd like to do it. Got really to knock on people's doors on about at the moment because there's not an election on yet, but there will be. As I got older, I sort of realised that it doesn't matter what the belief is. There are some people, and I'm not one of them. But I'm empathetic enough to understand that some people are. They need something to believe in other than themselves and their own abilities. They need something to structure their life around. And if it's not a religion, it'll be something else. And some people have this religion gene just hard-coded into them. I don't, but I can understand that people do. And you know what? Most of the time, it's fine. There are 8 billion people on the planet. If everyone was nuts, then we would have serious, serious problems, a lot more serious than the ones we've got at the moment. But it can be used by charismatic charlatans or people like Trump, Erdogan, Bolsonaro, Putin in Russia is a really good example of this, to bend people to your will. You can talk about how Stalinist Russia was atheist. Well, it wasn't, was it? They replaced the state religion with the religion of the state in that, you worship the state, that was the good thing that you had to follow and gave you structure in your life and gave you rules and things that you could follow. And so, the horses for courses, all things being equal, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can be used against people's own interests. And the leader of the Labour Party, and I'm never going to get tired of pointing this out, the leader of the Labour Party has one job, and that is to win the next election. That's it. That is their job right now, right where we are. If Starmer fails to do that, I will not be on Twitter in 5 years' time still going, oh God, oh Starmer, he would have been the best. Oh, he would have been so good. Oh, if only. And whoever replaces Starmer going, oh, well, I don't like Emily Thornberry. Oh, no, I don't like Yvette Cooper. Ugh, I don't like them. Why not? Well, they're not Starmer. If only they were Starmer. Then come on. Let's get real here. People are suffering. People are dying. 250 people a week waiting in A&E. Our rivers are full of shit. Our economy is on its knees. We haven't grown in 17 years. Our economy has not grown for nearly 2 decades. The Tories have done an absolute number on all of our great institutions, not least our democracy in this country. They've brought in voter ID. They've decided now that you can vote from anywhere in the world, if you've not even lived here for 50 years, because they think it would be a great wheeze to say, oh, well, these people used to live here. They left because of us, because we made the Tories, they made the country unlivable. The Tories need to be gotten rid of. They are the Tory sewage party. They have run roughshod over all of the norms and conventions that hold this country together. They've made us a joke on the world stage. They've made our passports worth less. They've made our lives worth less. We're just commodities to them. They need to be gone. So if I want to get evangelical about anything, I'm evangelical in my hatred for the Tory party. I don't just want them defeated in this election. I want them destroyed, ground to dust. And we can do it. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And backbiting and whinging about the fact that, the guy who was in charge a few years ago isn't in charge anymore. Well, that's politics, mate. He had his chance. He had 2 general elections, which he lost. He had a European election, which he lost. His net total of councillors from the start of his reign to the end was down a few thousand. Everything he lost. When people said, "Oh, you can't say he's not electable. He got elected." I'm like, yeah, by who? By people who paid £3 to join the Labour Party for the weekend so they could vote for him, leaving people like myself, who at that time have been part of the Labour Party for the best of 2 decades, feeling a little bit miffed, feeling a little bit shortchanged, shall we say? But Graham, think of the rich. What will they do without the Tories? I don't know. Find a beach somewhere. I don't understand the rich. I really don't. I don't understand the mentality. Why don't you find a beach somewhere and chill the F out? Right. I'm going to go now. I'm going to go and chill the F out. 6 o'clock today, we are doing another edition of The Intersection. Lovely Rachel is going to be hosting, and we're going to have as our guest Supertansky, who's going to be talking about her life as a agent provocateur online, an online content creator, and being a woman, and basically all the crap that comes with it. So please join that. It'll be live and interactive. I'll be in the chat. I'll be moderating. So keep it civil. And so I won't see you then, but I will be there in not more than in spirits. I will actually be there. Pulling the string. So that's 6 o'clock today. So please look out for that, for the episode of The Intersection. Phil is back tomorrow for the Morning Brew, and then he'll be hosting on Friday. I'm away on Friday, so there's going to be no agenda, and there's going to be no Labour Social this week. It's the holidays. It's the jollies. That'll be back the week after. And so I'll see you on Monday morning next at 9:30. So hopefully see you there. Need to watch your blood pressure. Hard to tell if you're getting angry or just ginger. That's just gingerist. I get passionate. I get emotional. I care about this stuff. I'm not just reading off an auto cue. There is no auto cue. Look, I can touch the screen. Anyway, farewell, folks. It's a bit Bibble Bible. Yes, indeed, it is. I hope you're not talking about me. Maybe you are. I don't mind. Thank you very much for the chat. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for sticking with us on Labour Social over the last year. Really, really appreciate it. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, but I think we've got a good thing going here. And after the election, I will be. After the election, I will be holding Starmer to account. I'll be holding the Labour Party to account, but they need to get into power first. Okay, that's the deal. Can we make a deal on that? Can we make a deal? Get them into power, then start the criticism. Instead of doing it before they even get into power, because that's the mistake that we made with Hillary Clinton. Indeed. Right, too many right-wing bots today, says Johnny Cobhead. It's just the way of the internet, isn't it? The closer we get to the election, the more right-wing bots there's going to be. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Give us a like on the way out. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.